The ocean has always been my home, and I make a living and play in its enormous vastness. I've fished deep sea for a living, and every storm I've encountered has demonstrated the ocean's erratic force. However, nothing could have prepared me for the evening when our crew suffered a tragedy and the waters became extremely dangerous. The night was stormy and dark, the kind that makes you shudder before you set foot on the deck. The waves were rising and falling in a menacing pattern, and the wind howled like a banshee. Nevertheless, we persisted because the excitement of the search and the prospect of a plentiful catch kept us going. The storm grew stronger as we ventured farther out from the protection of the coast, lashing out with an almost personal ferocity. My other crew members and I positioned ourselves to withstand the harsh weather, tightly grasping the ropes with gritted teeth. But then something terrible happened in the middle of the mayhem. One of my crewmates fell into the turbulent sea beneath the boat as a result of a huge wave crashing over the side of it. I was horrified to see him vanish beneath the waves, his frantic screams drowned out by the storm's fury. We immediately took action, banding together in a last-ditch effort to save our friend. As we strained to reach him with ropes and inflatables, the sea's black depths swallowed him whole, but it was unforgiving. Every wave tested our fortitude and endurance to the point where it seemed like it would pull us under. We fought the weather for what seemed like an eternity, our hearts racing with fear and desperation. But as hard as we tried, we could not compete with the sea's inherent strength. Our hopes dwindled as the night went on, giving way to a profound sense of loss and sadness. And then the storm started to lessen as abruptly as it had started, leaving a path of destruction in its wake. Frantically searching the seas, we held on to the slim chance that our friend could still be alive. However, when the first rays of dawn peeked through the clouds, we had to face the brutal reality of our predicament. In a sad turn of events, our companion had perished and been claimed by the sea. I experienced a strong feeling of emptiness as we stood on the deck and gazed out at the enormous body of water in front of us. I became acutely aware of how little and unimportant humans were in the face of nature's fury at that very moment. Amidst the sadness and suffering, we shared each other's strength and navigated the turbulent rivers of grief as we grieved our loss together throughout the course of the days and weeks that followed. And while we realized that life must move on, we would never forget the friend we had lost that awful night. I've spent years discovering its hidden treasures as a search and rescue diver, slogging through choppy currents and dark seas to find people in need. However, my experience was insufficient to get me ready for the mission that would change my entire life. When the call came in, it had been reported that one of the crew members had been lost in the confusion, and the shipwreck off the coast with its wreckage submerged beneath the churning seas. And it was our responsibility to retrieve their remains and provide closure to their family. I volunteered without thinking twice in spite of the risks because I felt a sense of duty and compassion for those who were left behind. Feeling the weight of the water bearing down on me, its black embrace both reassuring and menacing, I got ready to go down to the bottom. That day, the water was agitated, with white-capped waves crashing against its surface and irate clouds hanging over the horizon. Underneath the surface, however, was another world entirely, one of darkness and quiet. I dove into the freezing depths, my torch shining brightly through the shadows. The storm had agitated the sediment and debris in the water, making visibility poor. A feeling of worry crept over me as I made my way through the ship's sharp edges and twisted metal. I felt like the darkness was engulfing me as I descended farther into the chasm. But suddenly, just as I was starting to lose hope, I noticed it. A flash of white amid the debris, almost like a phantom figure calling me closer. As I got closer, I recognized with a sinking heart that it was the missing crew member's skeletal remains, their bones jumbled among the debris like a gruesome riddle that needed to be solved. Grasped the body with a grim determination, aware of the delicate task at hand. However, a catastrophe occurred as I started to climb. I was caught in the merciless grip of the jagged rock where the rope that was tying me to the body got snagged. Felt the precious seconds running out, and as I strained to release myself, panic shot through me, my pulse pounding with fright. My hands scrambled in the dark, the rope slipping between my fingertips with the speed of lightning. My heart pounded in my ears like a drumbeat of impending doom while I looked for my knife. As I was blindly searching for my knife, my mask slowly turned red. I think something had happened to my eyes. The urge to take off my mask was great, however I did not. I knew time was running out. I knew with a heavy heart that I had to cut the body loose. I managed to pull out my knife and cut the rope, unable to stop the remains from falling into the deep. But even as I struggled to break free, there was still another threat approaching. I raced as fast as I could towards what I believed was the surface. However, I had made a mistake in my haste, and as I broke through the surface, I felt a stinging pain shoot through my left ear, followed by a deafening silence. My comrades told me what had occurred next, as I could not see nor hear too well at this point. They dragged me onto the boat and saw that my eyes were bloodshot red, and I was bleeding from my left ear and eye. The pressure was far too much in that moment. My left ear's deafness served as a lifelong reminder of the costs I had to pay for my bravery. A scar that would never completely heal. Myself and 4 friends signed on to a yacht delivery from Maui to Sausalito. We were on a 42-foot gaff ketch that was returning from a South Pacific cruise, just south of San Francisco, and about 700 miles off the coast. We were hit hard by a submerged object, which put a sizable hole in the hull near the stern on the starboard side. The boat sank in less than 3 minutes. We had 2 Avon life rafts, which we got in the water and loaded with the crew just before the boat went down. It was late September, and a large swell was running, with about 35 to 40 knots of wind. We tied the rafts together and deployed a sea anchor, but the first night one of the rafts was dealt a direct hit by a large breaking wave, and we were separated. I spent 21 days on the raft with a 20-year-old woman. I was 26 at the time. We had no food or fishing gear, and about 5 gallons of water. All our survival gear was lost in the collision. We were picked up by a Chinese container ship on the 21st day. We told them about the other raft, and a large search was begun. The other raft was recovered on the 28th day. 2 people had died on that one on the 19th, and the other on the 20th day. It was the most extreme situation I have ever heard of or read about. I would have maybe lived another week. My friend would have died within 24 hours. It changed my life forever. Eventually, I went back to school, got an RN license, and tried to access people who were dealing with traumatic events, post-traumatic stress disorder. It has been a long road. There is so much to say about this experience that it would be impossible to put it all down in this format. I have feelings about the ocean that I would have a hard time describing to anyone else. It is my home, and always will be. What happened out there was reality, unlike anything else I have ever known. Everybody can imagine it, but I can tell you that there is no way anyone who has never been in that situation can ever understand it, or know how they would react, or how they would be affected. The Chinese ship dropped us off in Yokohama, Japan, 7 days later. Altogether, I had been on the ocean about 2 months. This happened in 1976. After 43 years, I dream about it almost every night. To some degree, I will always be on that life raft. Please remember to like, subscribe, and enable the bell notifications. Additionally, if you could share this video, it will be very beneficial to our channel. Tell us what you'd like to hear next in the comment section. Good night. Sleep tight.